Hello, everybody. My name's Dion Morales, your host of the Gold Squadron podcast. We're coming to you live from episode 244 of the Gold Squadron podcast. Today, I'm joined by Marcel Kersanton Manzano.
You tougher than Chewbacca, is it?
I don't know. We haven't seen them fight. Will Daimyo of a new palace, Hagwood.
Dion, if you don't read that without the question marks, you're getting fed to the Rancor.
Ryan, they're biased against my droid, Staniszewski.
Yeah, Dion's got all this new fancy live chat interaction where the chat can fly their ships on screen. And guess what ships aren't there? Droids.
Not
bias.
yet. The first separatist ship I'll put on, fire spray. Let's continue.
I hate you.
All right. So today we are focusing on the Las Vegas Open. It's happening here in a couple weeks. And if you're plugged in with Fly Better, maybe you've already heard of some of the rules that are being implemented for that event. Essentially, to sum it all up, is they're taking their best guess at what standard is going to be and doing that with some of the announced upcoming rule changes. So we're doing this for a couple of reasons. First is that we, as casters, need to start wrapping our head around this because we're going to be talking about it with you live there. And second, I mean, it's essentially today's a meta preview. It's taking a look at what are some lists that people might consider flying. And we're going to go ahead and just give you the lowdown of the rules and all that. Thank you, gentlemen, for putting that in our doc there. Let's go ahead and get started. Podcast is brought to you by our GSP patrons. Go to patreon.com/Gold Squadron if you want to get some awesome swag. And yeah, we got the Pursuit Squadron shipping out here as soon as I wrap up with Galaxy shipping. Looking forward to seeing that in your hands. All right, so let's go ahead and start talking about LVO. Ryan, what are some of the rules that are being implemented when it comes to what can I play?
Black box only ship models. Let's clarify that. That AMG's rule for that is if the model's been released, you can use any pilot for that modeled ship from any of the factions. So a really good example is the Scum Falcon and the Rebel Falcon have been re-released in black box. We have the conversion kit for the Resistance, as we've gotten a long time ago. You can take those models and use them for your Resistance Falcons, and that is black box appropriate. Same thing with the Rebel ARC 170s. The ARC 170 is in the Republic. You have the cards and chits and the pilots for the Rebels. Go ahead and use those. As long as the model's there to represent that ship correctly, you can use it.
All right, so that's the first part. And then, Will, what about obstacles? What's the plan there?
All right, with obstacles, they are going to be utilizing some of the newer rules that have yet to come out. Specifically, when a ship executes a maneuver, if it moves through, overlaps the obstacle, but if it overlaps a asteroid, it suffers an automatic damage, and then if it then it'll roll one attack dice as well. So it gets the automatic and then a chance for additional. Same thing with gas cloud. You get the automatic stress and then you get to roll for damage. Specifically though, it's now on a hit or crit, and then you would suffer 1 damage. And then in addition to all the new rules about gas clouds, if you haven't heard, they removed their evade conversion recently as well. But in addition to that, the ship removes all lock tokens assigned to it. Then it gains 1 strain token, and then also it rolls a dice, and on a hit result, it's an ion. On a crit result, it's 3 ions, which would matter greatly if you're a medium or large ship. So each one of them has an automatic effect and then a roll for effect as well. Though they do note important information that you cannot perform attacks while overlapping the above obstacles as well. So that is removed from debris clouds and gas clouds. You cannot shoot while you're overlapping them. In addition, ships do not skip their perform action step if you fully execute a maneuver through one of the obstacles. So if you are sitting right in front of a rock, 5 forward right over it, you do not skip your perform action step. And then if you're dropping any obstacles like rigged cargo chute or spare parts canisters, you do receive 1 stress, and then you have a chance on a hit or crit to gain a strain as well. So they actually removed the damage effect from those dropped obstacles. What is, oh man, I always forget. It's Electro Shaft Cloud is the new one that you launch. That one will remain the same. It has no difference in rules. Though, I guess now that I read all of this, to confirm, can you shoot on rigged cargo chutes, spare parts canisters, and chaff clouds then?
Yes, you can. They said important notes was the above. So all the obstacles, the traditional asteroid, debris cloud, and gas cloud, those are the ones you can't shoot on. They're Dee and Ryan and any other judges there had discussed that it would be extremely ridiculous and likely powerful if you could drop something on an opposing ship and you're just like, no, you can't shoot.
Well, that sounds really good.
Drastically change the price of the cargo shooting.
Price up.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, fair enough.
All right, and then there was also a change to scoring coming up. Marcel, you want to talk about that?
You're talking about the regen, okay. So first of all, Dace Bone Arm, stocks up. That 1 ion's turning to 3. More. It's all about Dace. It's all about that Dace. And also afterburners, you can afterburners or like not sensitive controls, like intuitive controls, is it? What is it? The one that the Jedi have, like boost off of a rock. So if you don't quite make it all the way onto a rock, just boost over it and you still get your
fine-tuned controls.
Yeah,
it's one of those controls.
It's the after maneuver actions that allow you to reposition off that are outside of the perform action step.
Correct. All right. Anyway, so we've got something that's not complicated, and they already mentioned. So basically, no regen above half points. Once you get half points, you're half points for the rest of the game. You cannot regen above that.
And I will tell you, I am taking, I think it was it Ryan or Will's idea? I don't know which one it is, but right now I'm working on a reprint of our cards, of a bunch of our cards that we've done in the past, with a colored side and a gray, like a black and white side, so that the idea is that once you've been half, you flip it, and that's a signal for. Was that Marcel's idea? Who's that? It was one of you three.
Not mine.
Gotta be my regen. I gotta know.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotta remember not to use it.
Yeah.
It had to be Marcel. He's the only one that uses regen here, at least normally.
So as a tool to mark half points for that, for pilots that commonly regen, we're looking at getting some of those cards reprinted and getting them into people's hands. So you have that as a tool for
Is there a chance you're gonna get Miranda in that list?
We actually don't have Miranda art, so I can't reprint what I don't got.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Is she even?
You gonna go full black and white, or you can just desaturate it?
Desaturate, like similar. Right now, the way I have them, they're not printed yet, so there's plenty of room to go, like adjustments that can be made. As of right now, it's kind of like a sepia effect, almost. But maybe desaturate, like removing some of the color is what you're thinking. I was just trying to make it more obvious. That's kind of what I was thinking at one point. Can we get a half token to place next to our ship? While that sounds practical, just with the number of tokens, I would rather it not be token based. But
I think it is kind of neat for it to be card based, though. That is cool. Like you flip it to the other side, and it's kind of a more either destroyed or desaturated, war torn look.
So just trying to find tools to make it easy. And then with all of those obstacle changes, one of the things to go along with that, of course, is that the tractor rule, the upcoming tractor rule, is also going to be effect that you cannot tractor enemies onto obstacles to end up implementing that. And that's in that same vein of now the rig cargo chutes and spare parts don't take away attacks. That same exact idea. And then, because essentially this is their best guess at standard, there are some cards that have been basically declared extended only and won't be valid for this event. It's a list of, what is that, 10 cards? Cassian Andor crew, Informant, Luke Skywalker gunner, the Flock Offrock prototype droid tri-fighter, Sense, Supreme Leader Snoke, Vimerati, Supernatural Reflexes, Precognitive Reflexes, and Static Discharge Veins. 10 cards that are not legal. So, today on our Discord, what I did was I tagged everybody and said, hey, here is the list builder. Maybe you didn't realize it even existed. And said, hey, build us some squads using these rules. What would you do? Because remember, like with those restrictions, that's a lot. That is a lot of things that are not available. That, you know, that instinctually you might be reaching for things that it's like, nah, you can't do it. So let's go ahead. We're going to flip over to our screen here. So if you've seen the list builder, the updated list builder for this is a branch of the yet another squad builder that Rathos put together for the event. There you go. A bunch of people got us some lists, so we're going to go ahead and dig out some of those. Gentlemen, you can feel free to just grab ones that you like, and we'll just kind of go through the list here. You know that you're using the right one because it has the giant yellow strip at the top. Alrighty.
I'll take a stab at one. This was Wookiee Shepherds, I believe. I can send you that link in our Discord deal, so you don't have to scroll for it. Okay, so well, let me get back to where I was looking at. So Wookiee Shepherd comes in with a description of what he's trying to do. Thank you very much for adding a little description. So explaining that Terex in the Psi Shuttle cloaks around one, then feeds the 3 provocateurs actions. Most often they have focus evade, and with the option to strain lock after they move. Terex can surprise decloak to move into a block or get a attack, all at the same initiative as well, so they can freely move for blocks or acting from lower initiatives. Plus, in addition, there is a Hux crew. So multiple coordinating at the same initiative, also very, very useful. So to break down the list, we got Agent Terex as described with Tactical Officer, so he can equip Hux. Hux says white coordinate, do 2 additional coordinates, but each of those 3 ships then must take the coordinate as a red action. And then the aforementioned cloaking device. Because Terex can bring the illicits and then give them off to a ship. But none of these interceptors. Oh no, that would be too good. Instead of passing them off, he's going to keep that. So the interceptors are first order provocateurs. Those are the generics. Is there only one generic? Yeah, there's only one generic for that ship. And they have elusive for defensive rerolls, and then stealth device as well. So really going all in to get that 4 evade, reroll, focus, and evade, which could be pretty powerful at dodging shots. I think we've seen a lot of this, like 3 Provocateur plus something quite a bit. Normally like Stradan or Tabson, something like that. But shrinking that shuttle down into Agent Terex here. And I'm always baffled by these First Order Provocateurs. The first thing, I know it feels bad, but I'm ripping all those stealth devices off. Even with focus evade, I'm not sure that they're worth it, in my opinion. What I want instead is pattern analyzer. If you're already invested in elusive, pattern analyzer is such a natural combination. Now, it won't work with the what do I say? Won't work with the coordinating. Because you'll be doing like red moves and stuff. So we really can't put Proud Tradition on these guys because they're going to be stressed all the time. So we cannot put Proud on them because of the Hux coordinate. That's going to give us 9 points to play with here. And I'm looking at some of those elicits. I'm thinking overtuned modulators. Oh wait, no, that doesn't work, does it? Because Hux stresses you, right? While you perform a white coordinate, you may treat it as red. Boo. And overtuned modulator says if you're not stressed. So let's see, what's some other good ones here? Contraband cybernetics. That seems like a natural fit. And then maybe let's get some. Ooh, we have 6 points left. Tempting. I know Wookiee Shepherd mentioned it was a defensive list, but do you think it'd be worth it to try to get some like buoys and targeting synchronizer, and maybe trade out those pattern analyzers for missiles? Should we be investing more in their offense?
I like the buoys personally.
You like the buoys? Let's get rid of those pattern analyzers then. Let's strap on some buoys and targeting synchronizer. You can drop off that contraband then. We don't want Terex too expensive. So buoys and targeting synchronizer, so you can actually, because Terex can engage first, he can grab the lock off the buoy and then use targeting synchronizer to give it to the friendlies here. And I'm probably just going to reach for concussion missiles, Doom. Ooh, I'm 1 point shy. Let's go mag pulse then. So 1 mag pulse to try to strip the token and jam and deplete and do all that. Then some concussion missiles to get the long range damage.
Was there one other thing that came off so that they all had mag pulse, or was it only meant to be 2 out of the 3?
No, I have. Oh, wait, let me look at your screen here. Oh, because I have targeting synchronizer. No. Targeting synchronizer on Terex.
Oh, what am I doing?
On the buoy carrier.
There we go. So you got 2 points left over.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, let me ask you guys this. Do you feel like long range missiles is worth it, or should we go for like cluster missiles and try to get some like close range damage? No thoughts.
Yeah, I don't. I think one of the issues with the TIE BA, this is the initiative 3s.
3s, yeah.
Like,
I mean, one thing to keep in mind is we know, or at least I tested a while ago, it was a much simpler version, but a Xi shuttle with Terex crew, not pilot. Granted, this pilot version, he's taking cloaking device for himself. Can't give it to either the 3 other ships. Fits with 3 silencers, so we know silencers at base generic is better than barons.
It's true.
Than the first order provocateurs.
Yeah.
I would probably agree at that 50 point price point. Yeah, they're probably better. So
Alright,
maybe it
I'm-
is stealth device then.
I'm curious, you know, why this is Jason, I believe. Why reach for the provocateurs? Like, what about the format? Because this is what I want to guide the conversation back to the format. What about the format do you think was a reason for reaching for provocateurs? Because this is not an archetype that we've seen do well.
I would have to imagine lower ship count would be a major factor, but
I think going into more mods and the fact that it does have, like Marcel mentioned before, like the Jedi has an after maneuver action that it can take advantage of. But nowadays, like if you're going over obstacles with these rules, there are higher consequences. But if you're bringing clouds or asteroids, you can still action over them. You just have to fully execute over them. So it's not really as much of a benefit. And on the cloud end of things, and this is probably something that a lot of people should be very wary of, I don't know how many predominantly, or at least key featured pieces of small bases are going to be bringing clouds anymore. That Ion's a big deal. That hurts.
So, whose list is this again?
this is
This
Wookiee
is a
Shepherd.
Wookiee Shepherd.
Wookiee Shepherds. So I played against something yesterday that's really similar. Difference being that there was no. Oh, what happened? Reset. Okay.
No, I just went back to the original.
Oh, actually, this is probably the person I played against because this is exactly the way it was. Stealth device and
Stealth devices? Okay.
yeah. So it's probably the same person I played against yesterday. Then, very fun, close game. So, never mind.
Well, let me ask you then, if you have experience. Did you have a lot of like disengaged and engagements, or were you just knife fighting against these first orders the whole time?
I brought 6 ships, and the coordinating and all that didn't matter because everybody was bumped and actionless, and 4 dice. I mean, 4 green dice without actions still fail against 6 shots. So
True.
So yeah, I think it was more of a tactical mistake of jousting 6 ships, thinking like I got a bunch of tokens. You got a bunch of tokens in your first pass, but then when things get messy, then that doesn't quite work that way. Especially Agent Terex doesn't move around. It doesn't. It's like you got those fast coordinators that you can just like AP5 has a lot of different ways to escape because it's a small base. Medium bases have a hard time completing their maneuver to guarantee a coordinate.
Yeah. I mean, you got the cloaking device. I think that's one of the
you can
benefits
decloak
of it.
and then get a little far and be somewhere
decloak
unexpected.
out, one bank back in a little bit.
Yeah.
Do something like that. I think after all of our analysis, I think that you're probably better off taking anything other than stealth device. I was trying to fit afterburners in on these ships, but I don't know what to do with the remaining 12 points, though.
If we just
4-point missiles, cluster missiles, I guess.
Well,
I mean,
how about
if you got that many points of difference, you got to consider making one of those ships maybe either a different ship, like a better silencer, or a better TIE BA. Like a Von Reg or a.
True.
If you want to help out the other TIE BA generics, if you can fit one of them being Von Reg with mag pulse missiles, so that the incoming fire back at the lower initiative ones isn't as bad, could be helpful.
you got 6 points after that.
So I got a question with
Not bad.
I know he's doing Agent Terex to get the cloaking device, but with Gideon Hask, is there any synergy with Gideon Hask It is Gideon, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Gideon Hask. It says, well, your friendly ship at range 0 to 2 performs. If there's 2 dice, roll extra dice. To get additional actions, is there any benefit to using Gideon to
So you
basically
can
say take the deplete for
right.
take the deplete for a target lock, focus, and then still shoot with 3 attack dice?
The problem is that Gideon has to be damaged, though. So you're not going to be doing that right away.
Well, you or a friendly ship at range. Against the damaged defender. So the
Damaged
defender has to be
defender.
damaged. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, can happen. You just need to get to that point for it to be something that you like count on or
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. I think I like throwing, dropping the stealth devices and throwing Major Von Reg in there. Get some initiative value.
All right. Well, let's continue here. I think Marcel, you chose one of the Republic lists. So let's go ahead and take a peek here. This is from Hog Hunting, and we got a Jedi Knight with Delta 7B Warthog with the cluster missiles, ion missiles, 7 Fleet Gunner, and then 2 ARC 170s. Those are just the 104th Battalion pilots. Those are the Initiative 2s.
Yeah. So one of the things that quickly stands out to me is the lack of synergy between 7th Fleet Gunner and the Jedi Knight with Delta 7. So, because 7th Fleet Gunner reads, while another friendly ship performs a primary attack, if the defender is in your firing arc, you may spend a charge. If you do, the attacker rolls 1 additional die to a maximum of 4. So at range 1, the Jedi Knight is still rolling only... The Jedi Knight plus the 104 battalions are all rolling just 4 dice. You can't boost up that shot. However, if you take the Delta 7 away and move it into a calibrated laser targeting, the calibrated laser targeting, the bullseye, adds a focus result after the attack. So you can essentially roll 3 attack dice at range 1, actually 4 attack dice, boost it up with 7th Fleet Gunner to roll 4 attack dice at range 1, add the focus result at the end, and then still have not just Warthog, the Lat's ability, the fire convergence to reroll 2 of them. So basically, as long as you roll up, you have a focus on your Jedi. You can have basically it's a never-ending procket. It's 4 dice at range 2 and 3, and 5 dice at range 1, and it always hits. I would even go as far as saying it makes sense because of that. Because of that, taking another one of those arcs and just converting it to Jedi as well. If you can get it, that's probably what I do. And then at that point, you have Warthog that has a little bit more points to put into it. You can add. Well, there's a couple of things you can do. So let's do that first. Move them all to.
You want to move these all to Jedi? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Just make them all Jedi, and somebody will have a procket. With 3 bullseyes rolling around.
Before we go too far, just out of quick option here, with that 10 points, you have that CLT Jedi Knight can be Plo Koon. Sure, you're not protected by Warthog, but you're I-5 already. You're double reposition. And actually, Plo Koon has pretty good synergy with 7th Fleet Gunner, too.
Because you can pull the...
Yeah. And I don't know if Warthog
it.
Needs 2 missiles. He's already pretty expensive.
He doesn't need any missiles.
You could drop all those missiles, and I think that should allow you to make both of the arcs into the I3 arcs with dedicated, which could help Plo Koon stay alive.
You could. But we're going to change it back to all Jedi Knights.
Oh, sure, yeah. That tangent is something you need to look at.
You are 100% correct on that. If you're going for initiative, I'm assuming he's going with the Warthog ability to keep him alive.
Now, one thing I want to go back with taking those missiles off. I will say this is just like a a question for the player, but also kind of an observation. I feel like the 7th Fleet Gunner and the missiles on a lat platform, they're what's the word? They go against each other and they counterintuitive. That's exactly the word I was looking for. Because is it there for offense or is it a support piece? What's its job? Because with that 7th Fleet Gunner, assuming you're using it every turn, your weapon's disabled the whole time.
Yep. Correct. And it doesn't make sense. I mean, it's either going to be a ship that's going to shoot or a ship that's going to be there just to support. And there's different things you can do. So with this, it leaves you 20 points. I mean, you've got a lot of room to play with. You can go with foresight on all of these, and the shot, if I'm not mistaken, let me read. Nope, only primary attack. So you put foresight on them just to get extra attacks out there. You can do instead of foresight, you can do shatter shot, which is basically trick shot. That it's another way to add an additional die. So while you perform an attack, if the attack is obstructed by an obstacle defender at range 0, you may spend the force to add a focus result. So that's another way to boost up and get a 4th or 5th attack. A 4th or 5th die. So you can do that, or you can just add one of the nice Plo Koon is probably the best to Warthog. That way you can do a reinforce that's purple, and again, it's just kind of build it your own way with what you like.
I want to challenge you on something though.
Sure.
I want to challenge you on, if I go back to the original, I agree with you on most parts. So with the player going with 7B, would you, if we change that to calibrated, would you say there's a possibility that requires a higher skill floor? So then you're risking the consistency for the potential. Like you're raising the ceiling, but you're also dropping the floor on the list by making them all CLT. So I would argue that this list, minus the missiles, because I agree I'm not a fan there. Take those 6 points, do something else with them. Might have a higher floor.
I think you're right if you do take all of them to calibrate it, if you get rid of the arcs. However, if you keep the arcs and just change the deltas, if you go back to the original, if you keep that and just only change the Delta 7 to a calibrated, remove the clusters and ions, how much does that do? Let me just see.
16.
Yeah, I mean, you can either do that. You can do what couple things. You can do what Ryan suggested, which is just beef up the Jedi Knight to a named Plo or something. Yeah, what is it? You can even go. You can do many things. Probably Ahsoka. So Ahsoka's probably that way. You can also get the coordinates in and stuff like that. But anyway, you can do something like that, and it also keeps everybody at 3, and then bring up the 104s to initiative 3. Yeah. And yeah, you can do something like that, and just fill in the blanks and it still gives you that sustained firepower. If you can't line up the bullseye, you only have to worry about one bullseye, and that bullseye can also be just a little beefier, more sport ship. It allows you to kill initiative 2 things more freely. And again, you've got 7 points to play with, whether it's throwing some crew on the actually you have, what did you say? It's the dedicated to get the rerolls in. You can throw dedicated on those arcs. Actually, I'm a big fan of Wolfpack. If you're flying with the Arc 170s, that way you can guarantee you get some locks in there. You don't always have to rely on the convergence, and the arcs really don't care about getting that one strain. So there's some things you can do with it this way.
Marcel, can I ask you now? Bringing it back around to LVO and the new rules changes for it. This list with 2 arcs and a lat, that's 3 medium base ships. What kind of obstacles are you bringing? Are you going for gas clouds?
Yeah, I think the only gas clouds. I mean, you're trying to hope that if you go over a gas cloud, you roll the 1, and it's just the freebie for the time. Not rolling a crit. Yeah, I think I think anytime you're flying any medium or large base ship, you're taking a gas cloud because it still provides the least amount of consequences for what you're doing.
I guess the other alternative would be something like tiny rocks, like the smallest rocks you can bring.
Yeah, I mean that's another.
Don't hit the mustache.
I know that I'm as a small base ship. The last thing I'm bringing is a gas cloud because the last thing I want is I'd rather get a damage than an ion because
how the tables have turned.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather be like, yeah, I'll take 2 damage on a 3 agility ship than 1 ion because then, your ship is going to be dead probably.
Another thing to consider here, so because we don't have the full rules or explanations how the friendly bumping versus enemy bumping works, right now that's not a consideration yet. But in the LVO rules, Ryan and D, they basically did say, hey, if AMG publishes the rules, those are the rules. Whatever it is, up until the day before, which I'm assuming if they have an interview coming up that there's a chance that they might come out before the event. Not surprised that these things are coinciding. But one thing I'd be worried about with this list with the ARC 170s is you're carrying around 3 medium bases. You got to make sure that you're not bumping yourself. That's something that we see pretty often. So
yeah, eventually
something to think about.
Yeah,
something to possibly think about. All right, let's see. Was it Will? Will gave us one already. Ryan, you got one?
Yeah, Ryan's up.
Let me hit the mute button. All right, here. Yes, I do. It's going to be splicing 2 together, but they're basically the same archetype. I'm very interested in seeing both these people have come up with. Both Jorg Cass and King of Crows brought up this archetype of a Leia Falcon, 2 A-Wings, one of them at least Jake. King of Crows went with Shara Bay, and Jorg Cass went with Wedge. And then the last ship, which for Jorg right here, put in K2SO. For King of Crows, did Garvin Dreas. In either of these, it could also be Kyle Katarn with Moldy Crow. And I think we might have talked about this in a previous cast. Do we feel Kyle Katarn is as valuable if you do not have Jyn Erso crew?
I would say it's the same unless you have Hera in your squad. Hera is what brings the Jyn Erso crew way up in value.
Okay.
Yep.
And then do we feel Garvin Dreas is worth it without Hera in the list in Rebels right now at all?
Oh yeah. So good.
Garvin is good, but I think it depends on when we're looking at this one that Jorge sent us. What are you taking out for Garvin? What are you swapping for? The K2SO U-wing?
So there's the K2SO U-wing as there. You could play around with. I mean, so there's 1 point left. You have up to 47 total points to work with. In that point bracket, you could. Let's see. Looking around a little bit here. Which of the high-end A-wings? Both of them are too high for 47. Now, granted, that's if you're keeping stuff like Prockets. I have been toying around with something that deals with a Falcon and 3 other ships. and usually 2 of them are at least A-wings.
Because they're
How
fast
often
and
they're
cheap, baby. Fast and cheap.
Yeah.
And they got killer abilities.
So I think and putting the last point, let's see, could be used for something like either hopeful on K2SO in Horace's case, or could be compassion on Leia, or could be chopper crew on K2SO. I think the wedge with Predator is really good as a pocket ship that's really annoying to deal with. Jake has that little bit of spike damage when he does decide to go in on something, which is helpful for the list. You're trying to push. I mean, Leia can end game, but she's not the perfect end game ship. But she is a kiting, consistent damage dealer. She wants to take locks or boost if necessary and utilize that force for the offense. So as you need some of the ships to mix things up a little bit, or if Leia gets jumped on, needs an escape route and let the other ships that are fast, like the A-Wings, be in a good spot to take advantage of chasing those ships that are now chasing Leia. Whether or not K2SO fits the bill in that, or Garvin or Kyle, is kind of where you try and figure out which of those ships you would like more. King of Crows had opted instead of Wedge with Predator for the same cost, went with Shara Bay with proton rockets. Now, Shara's pilot ability doesn't work with proton rockets, but does still provide another element of spike damage and naturally fits in well with Jake already. They're normally common partners. Is there anything, Will, Marcel, that you kind of feel stands out with some of the options that I mentioned? Anything I didn't mention? Your kind of thoughts between Shara or Wedge in something like this?
I mean, if you have Jake, I actually prefer Shara. The real question is, I think Shara is better with the rear gun, and Wedge is better if you're not taking that vectored cannons.
I think both of you are wrong. I think if you're not having all of these like multiple, they're all life 4. That's the only thing that probably makes it, well, actually no, it's K2SO and I3.
K2SO
Okay, so
3.
yeah, so get rid of Edge. It just the best A-wing that's not the top 2 initiatives is definitely Sabine. Because Sabine Wren.
So you're actually opting for triple A-wing plus Leia, which I've looked at too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're keeping that list, the question was between Wedge and Shara Bay. If you're
you're opting
thinking
for
about
Sabine instead of those, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
if you're doing Wedge or Shara Bay, Sabine is way better than both. Because Sabine basically just stands on its own, goes in there, is always going to get a free evade, is always going to get a free hit on every attack as long as you keep her close by. And you don't even need the Predator at that point. Just throw, I don't know, just find somewhere else to, find 3 points somewhere else to take advantage of it, because Sabine is just a boss. She don't
Maybe
need
just a
rerolls.
crack shot.
That 3 points could actually easily be Falcon title on Leia. Leia becomes pretty tanky
so
if
good.
she decides to when
Yep.
you have an evade and a force.
Now, what about, okay, so obviously we like Sabine's ability, but what about the environment changing makes Sabine good? Because we haven't seen Sabine do anything in the A-Wing.
Well, in this particular case, is because you don't have enough points for Hera or Ahsoka. And without Hera or Ahsoka, the next best after those 2 is Jake. You already have Jake in the list. If you're going all the way down to Wedge is really,
I don't know. I
Wedge-
remember Shara making my heart break. Ryan Stanazuski.
Yeah, but the difference is that Shara
It's real
needs.
hard.
Yeah, Shara needs support. Like Shara doesn't really.
Well, at
but
least
you have
in
Jake
what
and
we're
then-
looking at,
and there's multiple support ships here. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's Sabine just does so much by herself. It's just
When she's at
35
range 1
points of
in enemy arc, though,
Range
that's
1.
that's only.
yeah. But when she's in
she
range
makes her
2
any
and
better.
range 3, she's never a good priority target. Like they're gonna let her do her
I'd
own
shoot
thing.
her at range 2 if she was there.
I'm sure you would. That's shots that ain't going into Jake, Leia, or K2SO though.
That's true. But I mean, with this combination, because we know Jake is probably one of the best support pieces in Rebels, being that you're bringing another gun capable ship in K2SO, Garvin, or Kyle, one of those three options, gives you something that could still shoot 3 dice and provide a level support to let Jake do prockets on his own at one point, and then choose if you want to use Wedge or Shara to still support them without only relying on Jake, which is what I like. There are some lists that I see people have Jake in a list, and then there's like 2 or 3 other ships that want support from Jake. Like Jake can only help he technically can help 2 people in a turn, but then he's just kind of sitting there with nothing on himself.
True that. True that. Ah, there we go. All right. So now one of the things I kind of want to hit here before we hit another list is, I think before we leave today, or maybe we'll save this for next week, is I think we need to do a way too early faction rankings. Maybe we save that for next week, because I'm
in Puerto Rico next week.
All right, maybe the week after. Let's see. So LVO is...
We're in LVO the week after.
We're after that. So, well, not on Monday. Are you going to be in Vegas on Monday, the 24th?
No, we fly back Monday, right? Yeah, we fly. Yeah, I fly back Monday morning. I won't be there. I'll be back here by then.
All right, cool. So the Monday before, we'll do our way too early rankings, because what I'm noticing, at least what we're pulling here, what people said they would bring, or they or they are bringing, that was basically what was posed. Like, if you are coming to the event or would be coming to the event, what would you bring? Is these lists seem very different than what had been performing in Galaxies. Like, there's little flashes of some of the stuff here and there. Obviously, everything isn't available, but I'm wondering, like, what's gonna be. So, for instance, let's go. I'm jumping ahead 2 weeks. I'm thinking about Alex Mogensen's list, right? Mm-hmm. The Galactic Champions list. His list literally is not possible in this format because you don't get an Upsilon. It hasn't been released in 2nd edition. I would guess it won't be for a long time because it's a big honking model. Like, I want to know what's going to be at the top of the throne. Our runner-up list won't be possible. Joel Springle, 5 Kirax fighters. You can't do it because that's not in the black box. So, like, I'm pumped. I don't know if you can tell. I'm excited to see what is around the corner here.
I think we're also just tonight. I think we're looking at lists that we find interesting and we want to dissect a little bit. Mm-hmm. But also, when I was going through there, I mean, I was seeing some stuff that was very common before. Yeah. Like Vader and 4 Academy pilots, or 6 and 7 ship lists. I think there was one with with 2 Zealots. Yeah, there was one with 2 Zealots, 2 Z95s with threat tracers, and 2 A-Wings with concussion missiles. So there's just a lot of stuff that you can. Yeah,
there's like do. I went to the other Rebel list that I talked about with the Leia and 3 other ships, 2 of them being A's, because when I went through it, I already had set aside another Rebel list that I assume will be one of the most popular archetypes, actually, that you will probably want to plan for, which is Hera B-Wing, Garvin X-Wing, Kyle with the Moldy Crow and Jin, and then whatever the last ship you want. You have the major trio of token sharing, and the last one has, I think, developed into Wedge X-Wing at this point. So, I mean, if archetype to prepare against, Rebel token sharing, basically. Mm-hmm.
I do agree. Let's take a peek at this list. This is a player who said this is what I'm playing. He said not super interesting, but what I'm planning on bringing. Let's take a piece at this. Do I say their name or do I keep it secret? Did they put it themselves? No. It's an updated version of malware. All right. So Commander Malrus with that ability, while a friendly ship at range 0 to 2 performs an attack before the modified dice step, if it has 1 or more blank results, it must gain a strain to reroll 1 blank if possible with Proud Tradition. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4 of the Epsilon Squadron cadets. Those are the Initiative 1 TIE FO fighters, and you got just enough space left over to put in the Initiative 1 TIE Silencer. TIE Silencer. I mean, this list seems super solid. One of the concerns going into this upcoming rule set was maybe we would see less swarms, but I mean, this scrolling through our list, I see quite a few 5, 6 ships coming along. What are your thoughts on this list, Ryan?
This was one of my extra tabs, so this was one I had potentially considered talking about. We just had brought up First Order before. I think it's a great new take on malware. You can't fit all the cadets anymore because they're not 25 points anymore; they're 26. Rip Focho. But we have Malrus. Oh, come on. Malrus, as we know, is good with all those cadets, so it's only 4 this time. And the Silencer, I think we actually have seen this specific build, not build, but this archetype with a little bit of points used elsewhere because there were more available in a Galaxies or a Fight Club qualifier once in the past do well. But it was just once, I just recall it happening. I was like, yeah, a Silencer instead of 2 cadets is pretty viable. It's a great platform, as we talked about earlier when comparing to the TIE BAs. If I were to make one adjustment, is I would put sensitive controls on that Silencer. You're already I1. Why not be more maneuverable around those obstacles in the system phase, where generally if you needed to, park yourself in front of an obstacle to give yourself a little bit of coverage and then make your opponent guessing barrel rolling out or boosting either way.
I like that. I like that. That's a small change that I think could make a huge difference.
Now, is it worth dropping a... Now, this changes the list a bit, because we've seen this archetype do well in the past. Dropping a cadet, dropping Proud Tradition, and make that Silencer Kylo Ren himself.
Yeah,
you go back to the Kylo 3 cadets and Malrus. And you have 1 point for the brand new Sensor Scrambler, which is really good on Kylo as well.
Yeah, I think it's nice. You're changing the list a lot. I'm just.
Oh, I know.
I always get nervous of
Kylo
Kylo with Malrus, especially now that the target lock thing doesn't work anymore. You have to reroll even if you have a target lock.
Just don't be in their arc.
Yeah, just stay away.
Just don't be there, baby.
Or get away from Malrus.
Easy. All right, so that's the list that kind of caught my eye going through this. Now, Will and Ryan and myself, we're not playing in the event. Obviously, Will and I will be there casting and bringing you guys those games live. Super excited. But Will, if you were playing in this event, what would you be leaning towards? Maybe you don't have a whole list, but something that tickles your fancy just a little bit.
I've been working through my apparently you could do a lot of factions, but a 4 or 5 ship list that's all I5 or higher. Plus, they all need a way to roll 3 attack dice from long range. I'm not talking about range 1. Mm-hmm. We saw it in, I believe it was Alderaan. May have been the one right before it. But in Scum, you can do it with Nim, Talonbane, Old T, and Cavil. You get so basically ends up being a salad, but everybody has a way to shoot a 4 dice range 1 attack. Cavil's utilizing his dorsal turret there, and then Can also just bring in like an ion missile. Nim's got just a simple bomblet generator, and you could really compact in these ships to where compact's not the right word, but what I'm trying to get at is that that seems to be for me about the right balance of I'm not quite an alpha, or wait, I was saying I'm not an alpha. I am an alpha, but I'm also like thick jousty ships as well.
You're a
Right.
thick alpha.
I'm a thick alpha. Yeah, that's what I like. And I think that I think that is very interesting to me right now. I'm working through all the factions. You can do it in Rebels. It's super easy in Rebels.
Yeah.
But the
Does the black
that kind
box
of-
hurt Scum? The
But
Scum
yeah,
version?
because
I can't get the Skirg though. You're right.
or
I would
the
have to
Talon
get
Bait.
or
Or
Talon
Talon
Or the
Bait.
Mirax, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Okay.
just-
Well,
yeah.
then I would fly it the Rebel version of it, which would be, I don't know. Take your picks.
Ted,
Probably Thane,
there's
Wedge,
plenty.
and Hera. Start with Thane, Wedge, and Hera, then add in your 3 attack dice ship of your choice, whether it's Gina or you can go Nora in the Y-Wing as well.
Nor
Another
in the
I-
arc, I think is really good too. You can take
I
her.
think you can squeeze it in that list, but it gets pretty close.
Gets tight. What
Yeah,
about
real
you?
tight.
What about you, Ryan? If you were making the trip, what would you be looking at?
I would first look at a droid swarm and then probably rethink my life decisions, and then I don't know. Not that I'm against it or think they wouldn't do well. I'd probably plan a list that I think would do okay at LVO, but gets me on the right track of a list that I would even consider in scenario plane objectives. Something that I could use past LVO and get used to something. Hey, if this works here, might even work better if I'm already planning on it. Something that can work in scenario play.
Yeah, I mean, we got LVO now, Crossroads, right? You know, then that would be an opportunity to use a list like that again, or
Yeah.
some
So
event in February. Yeah.
I think something that also kind of works well in this seemingly token stacking meta is auto damage is good, and denying token stacks is good, and an endgame piece is good. So I think I'd probably take what I was using in the Crate Cup Team online event, which was Kylo Silencer, Grudge, and 2 FO bombers. The 2 Fombers utilizing the Electro Chaff Clouds, both proxy mines, and then Grudge with bomblets. Kylo with the sensitive controls and sensor scrambler. Worked well so far. Putting those chaff clouds in front of anything that wants a token stack, they just either have to move somewhere else or deal with it. Works pretty well. The FO bomber is one of the best chassis to shoot out those chaff clouds because they have the system phase reposition. So I'd probably stick with it and see how it goes. See if it would work in that going forward, since it had done well for me in the Crate Cup Online event. See how well it would do in person.
All right, and now Marcel, I know that you are playing. You do have secrets. Do you want to share them? Do you want to tell us approximately the rabbit hole you have gone down? No pressure.
Nah, and I don't care. I mean, people can use the same lists. They just have to do it better than me.
Oh, got him. All right.
I'm just saying, like, I've never been a fan of, like, oh, I'm going to hide my list. Anyway, so
He ain't calling anybody out, by the way. He ain't calling anybody out.
unless you took offense to it, then then it's probably you. Anyway, so I'm at 3 lists that I'm enjoying a lot right now, and they one of them is kind of an old archetype that I've been using for a while. It's Wedge with afterburners and proton torpedoes, Hera A-wing with prockets, Jake with prockets, and then the saying goodbye to Arvel and Intimidation, because Intimidation won't be there anymore. So it's Arvel and Intimidation, Jake with prockets, and basically Hera is going to have Focus Evade every turn. Wedge is if you're running to a what is it, a Defender Vader or anything else, it's just wedge with a proton torpedo and a boost proton torpedo, focus and evade available is pretty mean. Not that easy to take out. So that's one. That's one of the ones that I've been playing with. Another one is a 6-ship Empire Storm, Nash, 3 TIE interceptors, Initiative 1, Wampa, and then a Baron with tracer missiles. Basically, the Baron gives everyone locks, and if any of them get killed, who cares? You got Nash. That one's probably the most fun because sensitive controls on a bunch of little TIE interceptors is a lot of fun. And I've also actually been enjoying a super fat Bosk.
Ooh,
Like an 80-something point Bosk.
How many toys? All of them.
Everything. Zam, Contraband, Cutthroat, Unkar Plut, so that I bump and action and all kinds of stuff, right? All the fun stuff. Hull upgrade to drive you nuts. And then paired with 4 TIE fighters, just generic I-1 TIE fighters, and Captain Seavor. So 5 TIE fighters altogether. New obstacle rocks, who cares? I'm just going to fly over them anyway. And it's essentially 5 TIE fighters and try to get behind Bosk when you have 5 TIE fighters in front of you. And if you want to shoot Bosk, okay, you got 5 TIE fighters shooting you. If you don't want to shoot Bosk and you want to kill the TIE fighters, okay, you're just giving me... It's just a lot of fun things that you can do. Like, it turns out if they pop a TIE fighter, you can bring back Contraband. You can recharge your Greedo to shoot again at the end of the turn, or when they shoot you.
Wait, you have named TIE fighters?
Yeah. Seaboard.
You have 6 named TIE fighters?
No, the Cutthroat only works with named?
No, I don't. You have to be named or Cutthroat. Just like
okay.
Discipline, just like Hopeful.
Oh, I've been cheating then, though, a whole lot.
I bet you have.
I probably have, yeah. So...
Classic Marcel.
If you ain't cheating,
Ask
you
for
ain't trying
forgiveness rather than permission.
While another friendly ship 03 is destroyed that is limited or Cutthroat. Okay.
Limited. Yeah, we don't use the word generics around here. That's offensive.
Nah, that's not generic. There's again, out of 80-something points, there's something I can do to make it work anyway. So that changes a little bit, but not too much. I'll just put those 2 points somewhere else probably. But yeah. Anyway, so that answer your question. So I've been playing with a couple 6-ship lists and a Initiative 6 Alpha Strike. There's a bunch of other stuff too. And also I've been doing like some of the LVO games, like people go out and looking for games.
Yeah. And
doing the LVO stuff and seeing some of the other people's lists. And some very creative and fun stuff. So I think the excitement is good, like to be excited about it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun stuff. And I think some of the upgrades have really gone up. Collision detector, much better now.
Oh my goodness.
Anything that, again, those TIE fighters are really good.
Now, a quick
pieces now. Sensitive controls.
A quick note about your list, Marcel. So for this event, for LVO, unless AMG releases the full rule set and the points before the event, Intimidation Arvel is legal.
It is now. As of now, it is legal. That's why I said it would be like its last hurrah.
So yeah, this is the last ride for Intimidation for anybody out there who wants to give it a go.
All right, and you see, that's why it's good not to keep it close to the chest, because then you show up tournament morning and be like, wait, you tell me this list doesn't work. So there you go. Don't keep it close to the chest. It'll bite you in the butt.
All right. So yeah, we are. Oh man, I'm excited because it's essentially LVO to me is like the beginning of the next season, right? It's the beginning of the next season of X-Wing. You know, like Jank Tank is just kind of ridiculous wing, right? It's like let's just be we're gonna be ridiculous while we wait for the season to start. It's pregame ball, or you know, what am I trying to say? Spring training, and LVO starts, and we get things really rolling. Yeah, I'm excited. Like my goal is to bring you guys live at least one event a month is my goal. April is always tough because that's when my family's birthdays are, my wife and my daughter. So we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Is there, besides the people, because that's an easy answer, and I know that we're excited to be around, you know, our X-Wing folk there. You know, what is there anything else about the competitive side, the competition, that you're excited for?
You said beside the competition?
No, besides the people. Besides being like, I'm excited to see the people. In like, what about the competition's got you pumped? What do you got?
I think it's just the first large scale tournament that we'll be playing in. It'll be the first tournament. It'll be the first large scale tournament that we're traveling to in 2 years, which also happens to be the very last tournament that I participated in before. It was like right at LVO. It was on the flight back where stuff was starting to come about. Mm-hmm. So I'm just excited to just get back in the mix. I'm actually not super. I don't usually. I go into tournaments like with a certain expectation, feeling like, yeah, I feel pretty confident about this. I actually don't know. I'm coming into this like flying something completely weird. So I'm not. I don't know. I don't have any like dreams of grandeur for this one.
Oh, okay.
I'll do how I do. It is what it is. It's just excited to just see how it goes. Like I have no idea how it's gonna go.
Yeah, you get to play 6 competitive games of X-Wing, assuming you play all the Swiss, and see what happens. I know for me, there is, and you know, Will, you've done a lot of in-person commentary with me, like, and there is something about being able to see the body language of a player on stream, like when you have those like tense moments, you know things are about to go down. There's something about that just it raises the intensity, the excitement about, you know, for those moments.
Oh yeah, I mean, we project the energy for our online tournaments as best as we can.
Yeah.
But man, being in that room, like hearing like the crowd around the finals table like cheer for like a Daddy of 8 roll or something, like that's energy you can't be replicated online.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, and do remember that, like, you go back and listen to some of our old tournament games. Like, there's gonna be crowd noise and all that. A proper you know, game time environment.
It's not a true event unless you hear Zach Matthews yell from across the room.
Nice. Yeah. And you know, chilling guy being, you know, talking about the strategy of wearing a mask. You know, people do wear, you know, sometimes facial expressions. Now you can hide those at least a little better now if you got something on your face. All right.
It's always been about the eyes.
Vegas.
It's the eyes.
Yeah. Sunglasses.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like,
mask.
Bill needs to wear like a ski mask and sunglasses or something, and a straight jacket too, because he fiddles also.
I do. Love it. All right, so super excited about that. Is there anything else about LVO in terms of list building that you guys want to talk about? I have some stuff. This is basically we're on the path to LVO for the next couple weeks. We're going to be hitting things about it. So about some of the lists that we take a look at today. Anything before we head out?
I mean, do we want to discuss if each of us were to plan against something, what would be one of your highest priorities when list building to consider what you might be facing, or are we going to go through in a week or two about what we think is going to show up?
Let's hold off for that one. Let's hold off for that one. I think that's a good discussion. Good discussion for next week. It's almost already 10. We're gonna call it for today, but. I will say, go ahead.
My only thing, me and Ryan were talking about a little bit beforehand, but I wanted to know your guys' official opinions on the new tractor change. Honestly, a lot of the ban lists we didn't see competitively outside of maybe supernatural reflexes.
Sense.
So I don't think that's too big of a change to me. I think tractor is a pretty big change for the token itself, where you can't be moved onto an obstacle to prevent shots. Is that something that people should still be looking into? Should you wait until the cannon costs cheaper potentially? Wait, like the things that tractor go down in price. Is that a factor at all?
I mean, tractor really wasn't a thing anyway. Hasn't been for a long time. So I don't think that changes anything. It goes from rarely played to still rarely played.
Still very niche. Yeah.
Maybe. I mean,
I don't know. We saw a lot of
Shadowcaster
quad
around?
jumpers.
Yeah.
Is the Shadowcaster allowed? Like maybe.
No.
Nope.
No.
So
It's
I
not
mean, I don't
legal.
know.
Illegal.
Yeah, the only way to apply the tractor token right now is tractor beam and ensnare actually would be legal, wouldn't it?
Ensnare is legal.
Sure would.
Yeah.
In black box, ensnare is absolutely legal. Is
Tugboats are around, I think.
tugboats no black
Nope.
box.
No black.
If it hasn't been re-released in second edition, it's not there.
All
So
right.
it sounds like a resounding no,
Nah.
the non-factor.
Tractor, don't worry about it. I think the most exciting thing, the rock changes. Oh man, I'm so excited for somebody to hit a rock and kill themselves. Guaranteed damage and roll it.
So
You're good.
now Quick Draw's got a guaranteed damage if she wants it.
Ooh, that's true.
Quick draw, watch out.
Quick draw's bringing rocks. Yeah. Ooh, and can take an action afterwards. Well, I guess you lose your shield,
Yeah.
then you get to
Well,
take an
you lose
action,
your
right?
shield, then you'd have to shoot, then you get your action. Yeah.
Right.
Just you wait.
Interesting.
We're all used to be concerned a little bit about that. Oh, he rolled the crit over the debris. That's so sad. Roll that crit over a cloud with a big or medium pace.
Sad.
We feel real sad.
First time caller said, have you tried out the LVO rules on a Wednesday yet? We have not, because we've been focusing on the jank tank and documenting our that event that we have going on right now. But trust me, we have plenty of standard to come when standard is here. So we will do that when we'll cross the bridge when we get there. Soon. Very, very soon. All right, everybody. Well, that's it for today. I know a little bit of a shorter one, but I'm excited for this. We're going to be taking a look, some more deeper dives into lists over the next couple of weeks. If you want to submit a list for us to take a peek at, go ahead, go to our Discord, go to the list of the week section, and under announcements, there's a link to this builder specifically, the one for the Las Vegas Open, so you could start kind of messing around and thinking about standard. All Gold Squadron events after, once we get them going, they're all going to be in the standard format. So more to come there, and time to get practicing and list building. All right, for everybody here at Gold Squadron, be smart, be safe. Gold Squadron out.